Jamal Murray keeps making his all-star case just after the voting ends. Another big game for him while Cooper Flagg gets hurt. A great night of games around the NBA. We'll talk Vucevic at the buzzer. The Cavs keep rolling. Cooper Flagg's injury. Mike Brown goes to sack and loses. A lot coming on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It's January 15th, and welcome to Locked On NBA Game Night, where you get the latest and greatest from around the association in a way only the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network, can do it. So much to get to from around the league tonight. Jamal Murray's all-star case is stamped. The Raptors were awesome, minus a bunch of guys in Indy. The Cavs keep rolling against the Sixers, and Mike Brown returns to Sacramento pathetically for the New York Knicks. I'm Tony East, I host Locked On Pacers, and with me today, another of the rotating Wednesday night people. It is Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs. Danny, all-star voting is over. We're going to talk about the game. Should Jamal Murray make it?
Absolutely, he should make it. I can't believe this is a question. And he, to me, is finally going to shed the label as the best player to never be an all-star. Like, he's been awesome this year. What he's been able to do while Nikola Jokic has been out has been fantastic. I watched him a couple of weeks ago have this awesome half against the Cavaliers in a game where they were so undermanned. Yes, this guy deserves to be an all-star for the first time.
All-star voting ends Wednesday night. The Nuggets playing the Mavs in Dallas. The Mavs are not very good right now, but no Jokic. You keep wondering if the Nuggets will ever run into problems, and they just keep not. Danny, Jamal Murray, 33 points for this Denver team. Peyton Watson skipped every step on the ascent from young, interesting player to like stud with 18. Aaron Gordon back in the lineup the last couple of games. He had 22. What to you is making this possible for Denver to now be 6-3 without Jokic? Is it just that Jamal Murray has been that good? Is it some of these role players that I just talked about stepping up? Because this, yes, Dallas is not good, but this is such a remarkable run for them.
I think it's a little bit of both, because you look at how good Peyton Watson has been, who's the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week, which is a sentence I personally, Tony, never thought I would say. Jamal Murray has been absolutely fantastic. Like, his game, I don't want to say that it's gone up a level, because I don't know that that's true, but I think it has more room to breathe without Nikola Jokic. You're seeing his usage go up and the offense run through him in a way that it just doesn't when the best player in the world is also on the floor with him when the Nuggets are fully healthy. So I think it's a combination of that, and now they are getting healthier. You mentioned Aaron Gordon being back in the fold, but they've also gotten these nice efforts from other guys at times, like Spencer Jones, a guy that's been on a two-way, is starting for Denver right now and looks like a very legitimate NBA player. I know that Zeke Naji didn't have a good game tonight, but he's been a guy that at times has had really good games for Denver. Tim Hardaway Jr. has had really good games. He had 27 points the other night. He only had 12 in this game. But like, it has been, I think, a really, really good performance by the collection of the other guys. It's not just Jamal Murray. It's a lot of Jamal Murray, but it's also everybody else has picked up the slack too.
A lot of basically everybody but Jamal Murray who plays for them. I think Jokic is an underrated, albeit uninspiring defender, but they have a lot of good defensive mobile groups on the floor right now. Basically, like Deron Holmes still learning his way defensively. He only played 5 minutes in this game, but everybody else who played, maybe besides Tim Hardaway, can really guard for their position especially. And that's just such an important thing to have. That gives you chances to get easy buckets in transition, keep the ball moving, and spray it out. They beat the Mavs, who did not have Cooper Flagg for the second half, who injured the exact same ankle again. Naji Marshall and Brandon Williams at being your leading scorers, probably not a recipe to win. Nick Angstadt of Locked On Mavs was at this game. He's got the scoop for the Mavs side.
To the Nuggets and so much more. Cooper Flagg leaves this game with an injury to his ankle. He hurt that ankle on Monday. He again hurts it today. Mavs have another game tomorrow night, and I doubt he's going to play in that one, but Cooper Flagg doesn't play in the second half of this one, even though he hurt the ankle, goes back to the locker room, comes back and comes into the game, but doesn't show up in the second half. Daniel Gafford got hurt in the third quarter, just kind of collapsed while he was walking down the lane, and he's been dealing with ankle injuries since training camp. Literally the first 10 minutes of training camp, he hurt his ankle, and he was out for the rest of the game in this one as well after that third quarter. The Mavericks lose this game to the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets missing some guys, with Mavericks missing even more guys. Naji Marshall, 24 points. He's just incredible at getting downhill, getting to the rim, and throwing out floaters. The Mavs had like 36% of their shots were from the short mid. They usually shoot only 24% there, so they were really throwing the floaters up. Not a lot of them going in for a lot of guys except Naji Marshall. Brandon Williams had 20 points as well. And Caleb Martin, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 steals coming off the bench. He has been terrible this whole season. He has just not been a rotation player, not been a viable NBA player, but starting to show signs of life as he's getting some more confidence, getting some more reps. And that's what we got here.
That is where the Mavs are at, Danny, is, look, their team would all make a lot more sense fit-wise if they had Kyrie Irving, but they don't, and they have a lot of players that are good, so they're able to win sometimes. They are losing a lot of those players. Cooper Flagg goes down. Daniel Gafford goes down. They don't have D'Angelo Russell in this game, right? Like, it just is a thing after thing after thing for them. Look, and obviously Anthony Davis, they just kind of have to tank now. They don't have another option, and this game showed that. Like, even with Naji Marshall flipping in a million shots and terrible Caleb Martin scoring, they're just not good enough, and their direction has been decided for them.
Well, lucky for them, the tank can begin on Thursday because the Utah Jazz come to town. And if you want to see an ugly box score, tune into this show. I will be on it tomorrow, and we will be talking about one of the worst box scores, especially now with Cooper Flagg injuring his ankle on Wednesday night. The chance of him, I assume he's not going to play in that game. Lauri Markkanen's probably not going to play for the Jazz. Like, that is going to be just an all-time bad matchup between two teams that are right next to each other in the standings. The Mavericks are going to be a team, I think, that, right now, as we sit here and talk, they're in 12th in the West. How low can they go? Can the Sacramento Kings, who got a win on Wednesday night, pass them up? Like, that's what I'm going to be watching with Dallas. And there's no way Anthony Davis should play for them again, and probably no way Kyrie Irving should play for them again, at least not this year.
What I'll be watching, can they rehire Nico Harrison, whose vision will win them another lottery 2 years in a row? They'll be set for a long time. Mike Brown returns with the Knicks to Sacramento. The Kings stink. They only have 10 wins. The Knicks are pretty good. Surely the Knicks will roll through the Kings, right, Danny? No, big win for the Kings, who score 40 third quarter points, and that we're up 15 in the first quarter. Precious Achiuwa has been really fun and energetic for them all season. He had 20 and 14 against his former team. Look at DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine go. What year is it? We're theming All-Stars today because it's the end of the All-Star talk. No Kings players should be All-Stars. I think Karl Towns is having a pretty overrated season. He looked awful pouty in this game. He's had some body language issues. He keeps talking about his role being kind of tough. A lot of other Knicks players, by the way, Jalen Brunson got hurt and only played 5 minutes in this game. A lot of other Knicks players have not had the same issues. Like, something about that cat fit seems a little rotten to me. And it always pops up. Again, Brunson only played 5 minutes when they lose a game like this, and he has 13 points on 14 shots. And he had 5 steals, but you just didn't feel him as much.
Yeah, it wasn't in it. You're right about the body language stuff. Actually, let's start with that. Like, the body language doctor here would have the red flags raised that something just looks off. And I do think it's fair to say that the Knicks, while it hasn't been like some colossal failure so far this year, I think it's fair to say they've underachieved as a group a little bit. Like, I think that we all thought by the time All-Star voting closed, or by the time they get to the halfway mark of the season and they're a game away from that they'd be better than 25 and 15. And they're second in the East. And like, that's not something to be upset at. But I thought that this would be a group that would be closer in terms of closer to the top of the East than they are right now. Like, I thought they'd either be at and I guess, to be fair, I also thought the Cavs would be there, and they're nowhere near it. But New York, I think, is underachieved, and something just seems a little off there. But do you think Towns should be an All-Star, Tony?
I think he's going to be. His numbers are awesome, but he'd be more fringy to me than he would seem to be by a lot of other conversations I keep seeing about Karl Towns. Like, he had a possession this game where he just like fell to the floor and then didn't get up, and the Kings went down and we're playing 5-on-4 on the other end. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what is going on? And Brunson has ankle stuff happen to him sometimes. Like, the Knicks are good when Josh Hart plays. I do think they'll be heard from and be better than this at some point, but you can't have your $50 whatever million guy not looking like super engaged, especially on a night when your actual best player gets hurt and there's, you're like been a little wobbly. Again, Hart was out, but you've been a little wobbly of late. Like, they just need a little more, especially against the Kings, who this is like the peak Kings, right? They love this Dylan Cardwell kid, and he was really good in this game, but they're like vintage guys. We're all really good. This is what they hoped their whole season would be, but you can't get punked by the Kings. You just can't, right? So I don't know what to make of it.
Right. I mean, I do think the Kings were a little amped up for this game, especially with Mike Brown being in the building for the first time, presumably, since he was fired last year very unceremoniously.
He snuck in at some point, I'm sure.
I mean, you never know. I've seen it before and it'll happen again. So I can't say for sure, but I presume he's not been back in Golden One Center before he was on Wednesday night. And I do think that there was a little bit of extra energy. And oddly enough, I've watched a lot of Kings basketball lately, and they've been playing decent basketball over the last week or so. So I don't think you're right. Well, it's because I host the show all the time. I don't think this is like as bad of a loss considering how well some guys in Sacramento played. But if you are the Knicks, and yes, losing Jalen Brunson after 5 minutes certainly does color this loss a little bit differently. But I still think it's a bad one.
I agree. But hey, when you get 71 combined points from Westbrook, DeRozan, and Zach LaVine, you're going to win a lot of games. What year is it, Danny? I don't remember. We were both covering games tonight. I was at Pacers Raptors. You covered Cavs Sixers. Let's talk about those games where Donovan Mitchell goes crazy and clearly travels, I say, Danny. That's coming up here on Locked On NBA Game Night.
You know, I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockdownNBA. That's ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Ethos.com/lockdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
We're back here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day, your second listen. Locked On Knicks. Hear what they have to say about Karl Towns and the Jalen Brunson injury and how on earth did the Knicks lose that game. Let's go to Philly, Danny Cunningham, where the Sixers and Cavaliers played a game that low-key very crucial in the standings. There's this huge jumbled mess of like 3 or 4 through 9, 8, whatever you want to say in the Eastern Conference. All these games are very important, and the Cavs temporarily, at least until an injury mid-game, had all their top guys and looked awesome, Danny, outright. How rare is that kind of performance been for them this year to just have all 4 of them?
So it's been more frequent lately. This was, I think, one of the more complete performances that the Cavs have had this year. They've had a lot of really nice wins over the past 3 weeks. Like they beat a fully healthy San Antonio team in San Antonio. They beat Phoenix in a really nice win. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves this past Saturday when the Wolves were fully healthy. Like they've had these moments where they've looked awesome, and Wednesday night against Philly was another one of those. But they've also had these moments like Monday where they lose to the Utah Jazz, who are fresh off a 55-point defeat, where they don't look like a serious basketball team. So the Cavs have to find a way to bottle up performances like this one and be this team far more frequently, because I think that the version of the Cavs that we saw on Wednesday night against Philly is much closer to the team that they should be, that their talent says they should be. Now, you mentioned the injury aspect, and Darius Garland went down in the third quarter with a foot injury and did not return. Now, I will say it's worth noting the foot injury to Garland in this game is to the other foot, not to the foot that he had to have surgery on in June that cost him the first handful of games this season, that made him miss all of training camp and has really slowed him down. I also do think it's such a bummer because he's been so much better lately than he was since December 22nd. He's shooting over 50% from the field, shooting over 40% from 3. Like he's been awesome. And to see him go down, just you kind of have to hold your breath if you're a Cavs fan, I think, and certainly if you're a member of that organization, because this really has, even with some blips, looks like a team that's trending in the right direction. But if they have to deal with that injury and Sam Merrill got hurt again in this game, like they have to find ways to piece together wins. And you're right, this was a big win. The standings in the East are really tight right now in the middle, and the Cavs have an opportunity to make a run with some big wins. And this was a good step in the right direction, pending the outcome of further evaluation of some injuries.
Donovan Mitchell, 11 for 22. That is the worst shooting percentage of any of the Cavs' big four in this game. They were all exceptionally good finishing plays. Our theme today is All-Stars, Danny. Donovan Mitchell's going to make it. I have no takes to provide.
Yeah, I think that's a safe thing to say. I think that he's going to be able to find himself in LA All-Star Weekend. Don't think anyone else on the Cavs should or will. But Donovan Mitchell, no doubt about it. And another guy that will make it is Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah,
and
not good.
Donovan outplayed him by a ton on Wednesday night.
You got me over there. Yes, Maxey, 14 points on 16 shots. There are some games, granted, I was obviously at Pacers Raptors, so I didn't watch this, but there are some games for Philly to me where the crux of their team, where the guys who have the ball are very fast and dynamic and want to speed it up, kind of goes against this Paul George, Joel Embiid, like they're older and slower. And it works. They're a good team. Their record is like they should be 22-17. But there are some nights where they just feel kind of clunky to me. They shoot 40% in this game. What went wrong for them?
I thought that Maxey couldn't get it going. And I think that when he is and I actually thought Paul George played well. I thought Joel Embiid was okay. I thought he grifted his way to the free throw line a few times, and that's kind of where his numbers came from. I thought of those three, Paul George was the best into it. It hurts them when VJ Edgecombe, and you shouldn't be expecting that much from a rookie on a winning team, but he had a bad night too. I thought Jalen Tyson did a really good job defensively against Tyrese Maxey for the most part. I think his first made three came after he missed one so bad that it was like one of those awkward offensive rebounds because the ball hits the rim in a place that it should never hit the rim and it just ends up in a weird spot. And then he found himself wide open and finally knocked one down, but he looked a step slow, and this was the third game in 4 nights for the Sixers. So maybe he will look better on Friday when these two teams match up again. But I thought overall, like, it was him having an off night, and the Cavs should get some credit for how they defended him.
Good for the Cavs who need this. I think the Cavs will also be heard from like the Knicks at some point this season. I was at Pacers Raptors. Danny, the Pacers entered the day with the longest winning streak in the Eastern Conference. Thanks to a Pelicans win we'll talk about later, the Pacers exit the day with the worst record in the NBA, and they will be the last team to 10 wins. They get blasted by Toronto. It was all the first quarter, 39-18. In this game, the Raptors are up over 20 points after 9 minutes of play. You just saw Pacers Cavs in person. That's what happens to the Pacers. They play really good for 40 minutes, and the bottom just completely falls out inexplicably for some stretch of the game. And this one, it was the first couple minutes. And look, the Pascal Siakam, 26 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, playing at an all-star level to keep us on theme today. It is very hard on a team with a record as bad as theirs to make it. Last year, the team with the worst record that got one was Wemby. And the Spurs were like right in the play-in mix when All-Stars were named, and then he obviously didn't play down the stretch of last season due to his blood issue. So, it's very rare if your team is that bad, and this year the international rules are different. So the Pacers did spiritedly come back and cut it to 4 in the fourth quarter, but they sunk it early. The Raptors were really good. Their size, the way they control the paint on both ends is their thing. And if I'm going to say that I think Cat's having an overrated season, I will say Scotty Barnes is having a very underrated season, 26 and 13 assists in this game with no quickly. They needed him to run the show. I don't know how you feel about Scotty Barnes, Danny, but guys who can, at his size, who can do it all and are plus defenders, even with like limited jump shot repertoire, are really good and valuable when the team actually makes sense. And that's what makes the Raptors so interesting this year to me.
I will be interested to see how he is as a postseason player, because this is a Raptors team I do think ultimately will make the postseason. I'm not sure that they're going to finish necessarily as high as they are in the standings right now in 4th place. I would be surprised if they do finish with home court advantage. One of the things that I'm looking for from Scotty Barnes is consistency, because he has awesome games like he had, but you go back, it's the game against Atlanta where he has 18 points on 16 shots, or the game against Philadelphia last week where he had 15 points on 16 shots. So it's like, what is he going to be when the postseason arrives? I think it's clear he's a very good regular season player, but when a team can sort of plan for you in a way that they can't do in the regular season, I wonder what that's going to look like. Do you think he should be on the All-Star team?
Yes, I do. He's been very good.
I do too.
Brandon Ingram's got a case too, man. And Ingram, by the way, was gross in his last postseason. That Pelican-Sun series where the Pelicans had no business even making the playoffs with 36 wins and they pushed them to 6 games. He took 17 twos in this game. I think all of them were like fading away 13-footers, and he just drills 9 of them. Like, I love watching that dude play. I don't think Ingram will make it, but he was fun.
I don't think the Raptors are good enough to justify 2 All-Stars. I think Scotty Barnes belongs. I don't think Brandon Ingram does.
He has a case, but yes, I do in the end agree with your point, but they tried to make their case. That game ended before midnight. So if you saw it, you could have gone and voted one more time online. That's quite a bummer for some man. West Coast teams. Bulls, heroics. Pelicans, heroics. Clippers, not heroics. They just beat the Wizards. We'll get to all those games to close out today's Locked On NBA Game Night. Before we talk about those games, we got to talk to you guys about Wayfair. The new year is here. It's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you are spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn into Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. They have everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget, like new bedding or accent pillows that completely change how your bedroom feels. You can easily find pieces that match your style without spending a fortune. The shopping is easy. The delivery is smooth. Everything arrives exactly as expected, and it makes getting back into a routine feel much more manageable. So get organized, get refreshed, and get back on track this year for way less. Head to Wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome back into Locked On NBA Game Night. Thanks for making us your first listen. Every single day, you can get the normal Locked On NBA in the middle of the day with more talk about the association. With the trade deadline less than a month away, there are a lot of focus on that, and Game Night every single night. And join the Everydayer Club for your favorite Locked On show for ad-free versions, exclusive access to a Locked On Discord channel, and so much more for your favorite team. 3 more games to get to from the Stein of Hoops in the NBA. The Bulls squeak it out against the mighty Jazz, who either lose by 1 billion or somehow win games. An insane out-of-bounds save by the Bulls to keep it in on their last possession. It comes to the corner. They fling it in to Nikola Vucevic, who was balling in this game. 35 points for Vucevic. Throwback to the Magic version where he just sets a screen and seals his man like he's being taught how to seal like a high schooler, and he's sliding sideways with his hands up, and when he gets the ball, he just kind of turns and flicks it over his shoulder, and it's super effective to me against young bigs. Kyle Filipowski's not a good defender, but you don't grow up playing against that kind of player anymore. So if you have that throwbacky style, you're just going to get chances. Vooch is not going to be an all-star, to stick on theme today, but he was tremendous in this game.
Well, and to your point about it being effective against young bigs, regardless of what they grow up playing against, it is so rare to see a young big man be good defensively right away in the NBA. Like it's such a rare. I mean, we have some outlier cases in recent history, like Wemby obviously stands out. Evan Mobley's been a really good defender from day one in the NBA.
Yeah.
But like Chet, exactly. It doesn't happen often. So for somebody like Kyle Filipowski to be tasked with having to defend that, like I do think that a big night from Vucevic was predictable so long as the Chicago Bulls could get him the basketball, which if you watch the Chicago Bulls, you know is no guarantee because they're not exactly a great team. The way I look at this is these are the games that determine whether or not the Bulls will have 39 wins or 40 wins, because they will finish with one of those wins as their final tally this season. More wins like this make me feel like they'll get to 40, but 39 still in play.
I'm trying to remember this post, so forgive me if I'm wrong, poster, but I believe they were entering this game 18-21 for the 4th season in a row, which is just hilarious. They had 30.
Well, I mean, let's go back to last year, 39-43. The year before that, 39-43. 2022-2023, 40-42. Like, this is who the Bulls are.
I love that about them so much. 36 assists. They move the ball a lot. Sometimes it's not with purpose. In this game, when it's very obvious where you have Vucevic as a good matchup, it makes a lot of sense. A ton of double-digit scores for them off the bench. Like, they were really sharing it. The Jazz have Keontae George, who is awesome now. It just scores a bunch of points every night. He had 25 and 7 in this game. Kyle Filipowski was scoring, and our David Locke for Locked On Jazz was in the United Center for this one.
We're in Chicago tonight. It fell 120 scramble, gave the Bulls the advantage. The Jazz played tonight without Lauri Markkanen, without Yusuf Nurkic, and without Svi Mikhailuk, it's very similar to the roster that lost to the Charlotte Hornets by 55 points. So a much better performance. The Jazz led by 3 at the end of one. They got outplayed in the second quarter. Then they won the third quarter following the same script that they used in Cleveland. We went down the wire in this one. The Jazz were able to fire back on a run late in the ballgame as Keontae George had a monster fourth quarter, another 25-point night and 7 assists for Keontae. But the story for the Utah Jazz was third-year guard Bryce Sensabaugh. The Ohio State Buckeye had 43 points, the second most points ever scored by a member of the Utah Jazz off the bench. He went 15 of 25 from the floor, 5 of 10 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. He added in 5 rebounds and 2 assists to go with his 43 points in a 2-point loss to the Chicago Bulls here in the United Center.
That's crazy. He had 21 points off the bench in the first quarter, Danny, of this game. That's insane.
Awesome.
The Jazz have so many young guys who are like still being molded, interesting, but not quite good yet. But I really believe in their future that they have enough to be, when they want to compete. He said that all those guys are out this game. Oh, darn. They're that when they want to, Will Hardy's a good coach, that will be a good team. They, unfortunately, for the rest of the league, do not want to be a good team. Do you have any Jazz thoughts, or should we move on?
Again, like I said earlier, will be very interested to see what the roster looks like in Dallas on Thursday night.
Pelicans Nets in a game that neither team really cares to win. Saddiq Bey clutch for the Pelicans, who win this one 116-113 to avoid being, as I mentioned earlier with the Pacers, the last team to 10 wins. Vintage Zion performance. Insane dunk in the third quarter of this game, spinning around defenders, flying through guys. He had 25 points. Trey Murphy's ascent is happening right now. He's scoring a bajillion points every game. He's taking a bunch of aggressive shots as the Pelicans get to 116 and get this one. Those two combining for 59. Jake Madison from Locked On Pels was on the scene.
It's 116-113, and this might be a bigger deal than you realize. I'm Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans. This may as well have been like a Super Bowl type of game for the New Orleans Pelicans. With the Pacers losing, the Pelicans winning, New Orleans will not be the final team to get 10 wins in the association this season. Given how weird and bad their year has been, it's kind of an accomplishment, I guess. Look, Trey Murphy led the way in this one. He really answered the call after failing to close the night before in the loss against the Denver Nuggets. It was great to see him step up. Yves Missi off the bench provided a lot of energy, a lot of defensive presence that this team needed, and just making that center rotation a little bit more solid for New Orleans in this one. You take wins when you can get them, however you get them in this season, and there was a near heart attack for Pelicans fans at the end of this one as Michael Porter Jr. had a 3 to tie the game that he just missed. You get the win, New Orleans will be happy for a little bit and then be bad going forward.
Spot on. No all-stars on the Pels, Danny. That's a pretty easy one to get.
No, I would agree with that. And somewhere Atlanta Hawks fans are frowning at this result.
Michael Porter Jr. has a 3 to tie it really deep at the end of the game, does not make it. Should he make it? Should he be an all-star in the East?
That's the one that I struggle with. Because I think like his level of play certainly warrants consideration. Like he has been awesome this year with the Nets. He's
absurd.
Yes, to like an extent where the Nets are at, and I do think too, like Jordi Fernandez is a really good coach, and he is absolutely maximizing the talent and I guess lack of experience on that roster right now. The Nets need to get him out of there because they're going to win too many games because of him. But again, I guess the question I will ask is, which all-star is going to come from the worst team? Or I guess the better way to phrase it, who's the worst team that's going to have an all-star this year?
Yeah, maybe Atlanta with Jalen Johnson seems like a safe bet-ish for that line in the East, unless I'm forgetting somebody on the teams below the Hawks. But yeah, it's real. Like,
is Kawhi going to be an all-star? The Clippers have to have an all-star.
That's true.
The game is at Inwood Dome.
The arena.
And I understand everything that's gone on with Kawhi. Yeah, go on.
Well, hang on. I want to talk about Yegor Djemin, who's an awesome shooter, even though nobody thought he'd be a shooter. But his passing is way more boring than I thought. I thought he'd be way more creative than that. That's something that's interesting for the Nets. He's clearly good. Drake Powell has flashes of being clearly good. Danny Wolf is the most hilarious player in the NBA. But all of them kind of combine into this weird hodgepodge of like, who's actually going to be awesome from this group? But they do have a bright future, and they should trade Michael Porter Jr. for some interesting stuff. Yes, Kawhi. Apex Kawhi has still proven this year to be a top 10, 15, something.
Been awesome, man.
Maybe lower than that player. 33 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals. Clippers blow out the Wizards. There's no nobility in that, but any win is good for the Clippers, who now have a very respectable record at 17-23. That's not good, but it's at least closer to what people thought they could be. Is this real? Are the Clippers actually decent again?
I do think so. I don't think they were ever as bad as what their record initially. Awful. But I thought part of it was because Kawhi missed 3 weeks like that. And while Kawhi was out, and even as soon as he got back, like they were a team that just continued to struggle. And I don't think that they were ever going to continue down the path of just like, we are going to be one of the worst teams in basketball. They have way too much talent for that to be the case. Do I think that they're going to get to the point where they could win a playoff series? No, but I think the rest of the NBA is rooting for this. I think they're a team that could find its way into the play-in. And if they are in the play-in and you look at the rest of the standings right now, would the Clippers have the best player in the play-in in the Western Conference in Kawhi Leonard if he's healthy and playing like this? Yeah, probably. I think like if that's the case, then maybe the rest of the league feels better about that pick that's going to Oklahoma City.
OKC getting the Clippers in the first round after the Clippers make the play and just beating the crap out of them for screwing up their pick would be extremely funny. Yes, Pete Kawhi, clearly an all-star. Has he played enough is going to be the discussion that everybody has. Nothing noble of beating the Wizards, as I said. The Wizards are hilarious. They're actually decent of late, but they are so inconsistent, even like within a quarter or within a game. 38 points in the third as it looks like, hey, maybe they're going to come back, and then they score 16 in the fourth. They are not going to have an all-star, Danny, unless Trae Young magically plays games again.
Trae Young will not be playing part of the All-Star break. I feel pretty confident in saying that. And weird thing from this game, Alex Sarr was ejected with his second technical foul. Only played 13 minutes, and I didn't necessarily think either tech was like, you gotta whistle him for that. Like I thought this was a pretty soft ejection. Especially
when the ball does not go flying. The ball slam tech just stinks. Like let guys be mad for like a single second. It's going to be It's going to be
no one gets hurt. I promise.
Dude, none of this stuff ever escalates as much as they fear that does. Anyway, we're rambling about our own opinions on technical fouls. That means it's time to wrap it up. Back tomorrow, Locked On NBA Game Night, of course, for every game around the association and Locked On NBA. Check out Locked On Pacers and Locked On Cavs if you want to hear more from me and Danny. Thank you all so much for listening today. We'll see you very soon.